Hello and good morning. Welcome to Back to Basics. I'm Rico Burton and I volunteer with AARP Arizona. AARP is the nation's largest nonprofit, nonpartisan organization dedicated to empowering people 50 and older to choose how they live as they age. With a nationwide presence, AARP strengthens communities and advocates for what matters most to the more than 100 million Americans 50 plus and their families. That's health security, financial stability, and personal fulfillment. AARP also produces the nation's largest circulation publications, AARP the magazine and AARP Bulletin. In the month of September, AARP offers events and enriching experiences close to home and from your home that help you make connections and serve others. While our situations are different, our need for connection is universal. Now more than ever, we know that connecting with family and friends is vital to aging well and living longer, happier lives. Visit us at aarp.org/AZ. Those links will come across the screen. Today, we're going to be talking with Coach SheriAnne about healthy lunches. How you doing there, Coach?
Good, Lady B. Thank you so much. How are you?
I won't complain. Thanks for asking. Good to see you.
Thank you. Yeah, I can feel fall is kind of slowly getting into the air here. Our nights are cooling off, so it's nice to have cool mornings and be out
Yes,
in it. So looking
indeed.
forward to that, I can say. But yes, so today, so when you're tuning in, please be sure to let us know where you're tuning in from. I always love to see that. And if you have any questions or comments, please be sure to share those in the comments and we'll answer your questions as best as we can here on the show. And if not, I always circle back around and get those answered. So yes, to kick it off, we did breakfast a couple weeks ago. And so now we're doing lunches. And I always started out with, make sure that you're eating to live and not living to eat. And I don't mean that necessarily 100% of the time, because there are things that we love to live to eat for, because I love pleasurable food. I love ice cream. Ice cream and cookies are probably my two favorite, home baked cookies and homemade ice cream. Those are my vices. But for the most part, I really try to think about when I'm eating, sustaining, and giving my body the fuel that it needs to make it through the day. And with all the activities and the stresses that we come in contact with, how you're fueling your body is incredibly important. So I always like to start out with that.
I'm glad that you said that because we don't want anybody turning things off when you say that we can't, eat to live. Because some of us, that birthday cake is what we live for. That next month that we're going to, turn this or that or the other. So I'm glad you shared that. Thank you. And welcome to the people that have come in. We have somebody that says they love our presentations and we love you loving them. So thank you very much. Hello from Detroit as well and Colorado. We're so happy you're with us. If you have any questions for Coach SheriAnne, please put those in the chat and we'll get to them as best we can. All right, Coach, what do you have for us?
So when we think about lunch, a lot of the times, we're still working, we still have very busy days, and we tend to skip lunch. Some people skip breakfast, and it's because they're just rushing and rushing and rushing. And breakfast, like I said a couple weeks ago, is your most important meal of the day. It really is, because you're breaking that fast from the evening, and it also just sets yourself up for the day. And the old adage of eat breakfast like a king or queen, eat lunch like a prince or princess, and then do dinner like a pauper, and we'll cover dinner in a couple of weeks. So for lunches, what I like to encourage people to do is think ahead. Try to prepare some foods ahead and have them in the refrigerator as staples. Here at my house, we always have either shredded chicken cooked already in the refrigerator so that the boys can add it to whatever, or I can. I sometimes have ground beef cooked. Always, actually, I shouldn't say sometimes. There's always ground beef cooked in my fridge. As it filters down, either my son or myself will cook a whole another 2 pounds of ground beef. It's always in the fridge because it's easy to add to meals, and same thing with shredded chicken. So think ahead about things that you can have already prepared. And I'll cover some of those things also as we go and dive into these meals. And so I have 5 meals to share. And remember me, I always love having the rainbow. Think about colors when you're eating so that you can get your vitamins and minerals. So you'll see very colorful meals, nothing new. So we'll start out with what one of my kids loves is a bento box. And so it's just a separated, box that we have. And then I create other little containers inside. And so I'm tipping it so you can see it, but I hope it doesn't fall out. But in here, we have some carrots, some cucumbers, some bell peppers, And then I have a little container of hummus. And then I have some olives and then crackers. And these are like hearty crackers. These are kind of more of a bread cracker, a grain cracker. So in here, and once again, you want to think about your macronutrients, making sure that you're getting fat, protein, and carbs. And I tend to go heavier on the fat and protein. And so, but this actually is considered a vegetarian meal. So there's no meat in this, but you are getting hummus. So between the grains and the hummus, which is made from garbanzo beans, you're getting a full protein right here. And so, and the olives are your fat. And then we have some carbs with our veggies and fiber, which we really want fiber in our diet. So this is a vegetarian, easy meal. And the fun thing about bento boxes is you can put in here whatever you want. Like you can make up any combination of things. So
All
easy
right.
to do. And you can prepare this the night before, grab it out of the fridge and go. So it's really easy to prepare this ahead of time. So that's a favorite in our house because they're just easy and they're fun. And the boys tend to put whatever they want in the boxes.
Now, do you have to refrigerate that when you get to where you're going?
You should that, but this would be fine for a few. This would be fine for a few hours. There's nothing in here that's really it would be fine. But if you have a lunchbox where you can put a cooler in it, like a cooler pack, great. You're good to go for a few hours. So yes, so that's one that we have that's a favorite. The other is lettuce wraps. And so if you don't want to do a lettuce wrap, you can do, there's really good tortillas out there, but I want to encourage you to do the small ones and try to get them where they're not commercially made. You can find them usually in the produce. I mean, I'm not produce, but the meat department, you'll find better tortillas. Oh, there goes a tomato. Turn it this way. So once again, I'll try to tip this up so that it doesn't fall off on the floor. But these are lettuce wraps. And so, like I said before, I had shredded chicken already prepared in the fridge, and I can talk to you about how I do that. But in the lettuce wrap, you can't really see it because it's layered, but there's shredded chicken, and we chose buffalo chicken, so we did it with a buffalo sauce. But you can season it however you want. And then I have avocado and cheese for the fat. And then I put some colorful tomatoes because once again, you got to have the rainbow in there. So these are really easy. These you can also make up ahead, stick in a Tupperware, and grab on the go. And so, but like I said, I like lettuce wraps because we don't do a lot of grain and breads in this house. We prefer just more vegetables and a lot of fiber. So, but these are really easy. And so how I do our chicken is I have an Instapot and we do chicken thighs because they're a little bit better for you, I feel like, than chicken breasts because they're more darker meat. So they're a little bit fattier and they don't tend to be as dry. So I'm in the Instapot, and depending upon what is up for grabs as far as seasoning, sometimes it's buffalo sauce, sometimes it's barbecue sauce, sometimes it's just salt and pepper and a little bit of lemon. So it just depends on how you want to cook it. And it cooks so fast in the Instapot, 20 minutes, pull it out, shred it, throw it in Tupperware, and it goes in the fridge, and it's just ready to go. So it's always thinking ahead and just trying to have things already prepared in your fridge so you're not feeling overwhelmed. Because what happens is we have a tendency to feel overwhelmed, and then we're just grabbing food on the go. And when we grab food on the go, it doesn't tend to be as healthy as you preparing it yourself. So
Now, I'm thinking about what you just showed us, and I want to dip it in something. Is there an all juice or a something? Give me something, Coach.
I'll make a sauce, like a dill sauce, also like Greek yogurt. But yeah, you can absolutely, or sometimes I'll drizzle a vinaigrette over it. So I make my own vinaigrette, and so I just will drizzle that over it. And then that's the other thing that's like a staple in my house is like once it starts to get down, I just make it back up again, and the kids use that on different things as just so kind of like a dip, but I'll just drizzle it over it.
Nice, thanks.
So, yeah, my vinaigrette, I just do seasoned rice vinegar, olive oil, salt and pepper, garlic powder. It's super simple, but tastes so good and clean. And
now, will you share those recipes online for us? And so those that want to see.
Yeah, we did it 2 weeks ago. We created a blog post with all the recipes in there, and definitely, absolutely.
Super.
The longest time, people would be so frustrated with me because I make so much stuff by just sight and taste that I needed to start writing things down, like measuring it and actually doing it. Because then people would be like, "But how? I want to make it. Like, how do I make it?" I'm like, "I don't know how to tell you how to do that." because I just like.
There's a lot of recipes culturally that people have done that. My nana would teach us to cook by taste. And I remember her teaching me how to make a peach cobbler. And when she tasted it, she said, "Honey, you got good taste." And I never will forget that. So there's
Oh,
something to learning how to cook and have good taste.
oh, for sure. Well, and it just makes it a little more fun, I think. Yes, it's nice to read a recipe and follow a recipe, but also sometimes it's nice to just experiment. And that's one thing that I've always said on this show is like, have fun with your food, have an experience with it, and don't be afraid to sample and try new things and throw something in, and even add and take away from recipes that you're reading to see if you can make it your own.
Thank you.
Definitely.
And somebody's asking where that blog post is. Perhaps our producer can put that link into the on the screen for us, and then you'll see it. Thanks for asking that question, Sandy.
Yes, absolutely. Because we had a lot of questions last week, or 2 weeks ago with the breakfast. It was fun.
Super.
So another one that I really like, you can call them power bowls, macro bowls, Buddha bowl. That, if you were to Google online a Buddha bowl, this would come up, or a power bowl. And so I do enjoy these, mainly because they're really beautiful and pretty with colors. And so in this, once again, this is another vegetarian dish. And so, but you can obviously add meat if you'd like to add meat. But I noticed 2 weeks ago we had quite a few people requesting vegetarian dishes. So in this bowl, so this is a power grain. It's like brown rice, ancient grains in here. So there's lentils, there's quinoa, flax. And I make this ahead of time, and it just gets stored in the fridge and added to different things just to add extra protein and grains. And then garbanzo beans in the middle, because here's your perfect protein right here. Your complete protein. I mean, not perfect, your complete protein. Greens. We always have greens. We have some bell peppers, colorful tomatoes, avocado for fat. And then this is cooked purple cabbage. And this is another thing that I usually have in the fridge cooked ahead of time too, because it just tastes good and it's easy to add, a lot of fiber, and it's a filler. And so this, where I would add my vinaigrette to this dish, and I would mix it all together and then probably eat it by itself, just like that. I might add meat to it, might not, just depends on my mood. But these are fun. And the nice thing, just like the bento box, your power bowl, you can add whatever you would like to it. But in order to make sure that you're getting your macros, getting your protein in, make sure you have a complete protein by mixing some grain and beans, lentils.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. And for those that were wondering about the blog post, our producer did put that into the chat. Thank you, Ms. Dawn. Really appreciate it. So it's there for you to see.
Yes. So it's the thing that, once again, I'm just going to reiterate, making sure that you're planning ahead and having things prepared ahead of time makes lunches so much easier. It makes dinner, other meals easier too. But I've just found that it's a tendency for lunches just to, people don't, and even my kids are, at fault for this. Like every once in a while, if I don't have a staple done in the fridge, they'll be standing there like, I don't want to take the time to make something. We're all guilty of that. It's like, I don't want to make something right now when I'm starving. I just want something to eat, because if you wait until you're really, really hungry and you don't have something already prepared, you have a tendency to make unhealthy choices. And so,
Indeed.
And so that's just why I just try to think ahead. And I think I shared a couple of weeks ago too. I usually tend to use one day during the week. It's not always Sunday, where I'm preparing things to just have available for not only myself, but my kids. So find a day in your week where you're not super busy doing a bunch of things and you can prepare stuff ahead of time. The other thing that I've shared, we eat a lot of eggs. And so I'll have hard-boiled eggs, ready to go too. And that's part of the next lunch. It's an egg salad sandwich. And I'll share a couple different egg salad recipes because mine's never the same. It always changes, and it's mainly just for variety. But it's just, and I bought a La Brea, really hearty grain. It's actually an olive bread with olives in it, so it's so tasty. And I toast it. Sometimes I'll make it a sandwich, or I'll pick another piece and put on top. Just depends on how hungry I am. But sometimes I'll eat it open face like this. So I put mixed grains on the bread, and then my egg salad, and then obviously something crunchy, and another vegetable. And you could also pick a fruit. It doesn't always have to be a vegetable. I have this really peach that smells amazing. that I was going to add to one of the dishes. And I was like, no, I'm just going to enjoy this when I'm done with the show because it smells
When
so
you're
good.
finished.
But it doesn't always have to be a vegetable. You can add a fruit. And so this egg salad, I always make the egg salad with a plain Greek yogurt. Every once in a blue moon, I'll use mayo. And it's an olive oil based mayo. But it's just Greek yogurt and a little bit of, this one today is almost like a deviled egg salad. And so that's kind of why it has some tahini on top, some like red pepper. So it just depends. Sometimes I put dill in. Sometimes I finely dice a red onion. And once again, but the egg salad or even tuna salad, whatever you prefer, you can mix it up ahead of time, have it in the fridge and have it ready to go so that if you're working from home, you can easily go to your fridge, pull it out, make a quick sandwich, and you have something healthy and ready to go. If you are traveling with something like this, definitely have a cooler or have a place where you can put it in a fridge. Anytime you have any kind of dairy or mayo products, you don't ever really want to let them sit out too long. So make sure you have capacity to keep it cool. And when you pick your breads, I really want to encourage you to pick breads that are whole grain, really hearty bread, more fibers in there. And when there's more fiber, it tends to help cancel out all the carbs that are in the bread. So just pick a really good hearty bread. If you're not used to it, I had to really kind of train my boys that direction because when they were younger, we didn't really do that because you got to really chew. And we just did softer breads, and now I've kind of transitioned them into heartier breads. And at first, they didn't really want to do it; they wanted the easier bread to eat. I'm like, no. You're old enough now. You got to.
Are you familiar with Ezekiel bread?
I love Ezekiel bread. Yes.
Okay, so that might be some.
Yeah, that one's a great one. Like every once in a while, I'll just go to the deli and do their La Brea. It's more of a bakery bread, but because sometimes I like the olive oil or the rosemary olive oil with olive bread or the rosemary bread, just unique little breads. And I have bread rising right now. I haven't made bread in my house in years. So I'm actually trying a recipe, making my own bread right now. It's actually rising over there. So I'm kind of excited because I haven't made bread in a long time because we're not a big bread family. But it'll be fun to try. I'll let you all know in 2 weeks when we do dinner.
Do you have to have a lot of time on your hands to do this? It sounds like you're just, we're not in the 50s anymore where we can, where we're the stay-at-home moms and doing all. When do you make the time to do this?
This girl runs a lot of different businesses, so I don't have a lot of time. And it's funny because I was sitting with my son last night and we were chatting, and luckily my living space is right on the other side of this wall because we're in my kitchen right now. And so we can converse while I'm doing things. And so it makes it nice to be able to have him be a part of me making things. And he was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm making." It's like, "You're doing what?" So wonderful. No, I don't have a lot of time, but I find windows of time where I can prepare quite a few things. Like I had rice cooking, chicken cooking, and preparing bread last night. So I'll do a lot of things at once in a block of time, and then it carries me for food.
Wonderful. There was a bread that you shared with us once before. I do not remember the name, and I think it was some guys that had been incarcerated or something.
Dave's. Yep, Dave's.
Dave's bread? Is that what it's called?
Dave's something. But yeah, Dave, he came up with it while he was incarcerated. But he makes a really good, and that was one of the ways I transitioned my boys because he had a not white bread. And so I kind of got him, onto that because it was actually a grain, but it was, more of a whole grain bread, but it was white. And then transitioned him into more actual Dave's Killer Bread. Yes, that's what it was.
Yeah, thank you, Mary Alice. She tells us this, Dave, now that he's incarcerated, what's the killer got to be in there for? I don't know about that. Dave's Killer was, I don't want to know. But I saw it at Costco.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I saw it at Costco.
And the nice thing about his breads too is if you're not a big bread person, they don't have it at Costco in this way, but at the food store, because I shop at Fry's, he has a loaf where the pieces are smaller. The one at Costco, they're bigger pieces of bread, but the ones at the grocery store, they're smaller, and that helps because then you're not eating that much more bread. So yeah, Dave's Killer Bread, that's a good one because that and Ezekiel, usually we float back and forth, and then sometimes the bakery bread. But yeah, when I bought the bakery bread yesterday, I was like, why am I not trying to make my own bread? And
Good
so
for you. Good for
that's
you.
what I started last night. So we'll see.
What about Hawaiian bread if you get the whole wheat?
I mean, yes, the thing is I'm not going to tell anyone not to eat something. It's just in moderation. You know, if you're going to eat, because you're talking about like the squishy Hawaiian rolls.
Oh,
Yeah. Those get devoured during holiday time with like ham. Like those are all, I don't know what it is about slicing one of those in half and then sliding some honey baked ham in there. Delicious. So,
absolutely.
no, you know, if you are desiring something, have it. You know, just remember moderation. Because that just tends to be like squishy, empty bread to me.
Oh,
But you know what though? If it's making you feel good and you enjoy having it, have it. You still
there's
need to
one
have
of those live to eat kind of things, I think.
yeah, that would fall into that category. Is like how
Okay.
I.
All right. And every now and then I'm going to do that. So, okay.
All right. So for our last meal, it is a chicken salad, and we eat a lot of salads in my house. And so this is the buffalo chicken that I made last night. Oop, there goes a tomato. Um, and so this could be taco meat. It could be whatever kind of meat. It could be tuna if you want it to be. So, but make sure you're having a nice, colorful, you know, plate with your salad. In the sense of I have mixed greens, and I always prefer mixed greens because there's more iron in it. And then I've got radishes, bell peppers, cucumbers, tomatoes, avocado. And so the fat on this dish is obviously the avocado, and then I will have the olive oil vinaigrette that I make on top for added fat, protein, and then you always get carbs are really easy. Carbs get in every meal, no matter what, it seems like. So you got to really focus on proteins and fats. So, like I said, this happens to be the buffalo chicken that I made last night, the shredded buffalo chicken. It typically is ground beef, or sometimes it's canned tuna, just depends. So make it be whatever you'd like for it to be. You know, and if you want it to be a vegetarian dish, then you could put that mixed grains with the beans on top, and it's just like that, like it's almost like a power bowl, but more greens underneath. So the key is just making sure that you have some thoughts, maybe. And what's worked for me is I plan the night before. Like, so at night I'm like, okay, so tomorrow this is what's going to be happening, and I know I have it, so I'm good to go. So I don't have to stress in the moment of, what are we having for dinner? What am I going to do for lunch? Things like that. So, because my middle child only goes to school till lunch, and then his last class is online. So he comes home for lunch. So he's, for a while there, I was making lunch for him for school. So he had it, and now he has to come home and prepare his own lunch. And so it took him a solid week of like, what am I going to do? And so I was training him like, hey, just think about it. There's stuff in the fridge that you can prepare, because otherwise he's like, what do I do?
Understandable. Understandable. Well, I like hot lunches.
Yes.
Can you take anything that you had there, and is there a hot version of something?
Absolutely.
Or a melt, maybe the tuna melt or a something.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, so my youngest prefers hot lunches. So I was able to find a lunchbox that in his 5th period class right before lunch, he plugs it in. And so it warms up his lunch. And then once the class is over, he has a warm lunch to eat. And the lunchbox actually came with a car adapter, so you could heat it in your car if you needed to, or you could plug it in at work. And he usually takes a grain of some sort and a protein. And it's just mixed together in this warm lunchbox. But yeah, you could easily, like the Power Bowl, this could easily be heated up. Or you could do a tuna melt instead of an egg salad sandwich. So I completely understand. So if you're home, it's easier to heat something up. But if you're going somewhere, if you don't have the capacity of having access to a microwave to warm something up, or a hot plate, then you have to kind of think about, well, what am I going to do? How am I going to keep it warm? If you're taking a stew, that's easy. You can get a thermos and put it in the thermos. But the warm lunchbox has worked wonders.
I've never heard of a lunchbox, an electric lunchbox that you could plug something in and keep your things warm. That's wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, I have actually quite a few of them. because they just look like this.
Oh, wow.
It just pops, lid pops off. See, there's the cords inside. You just, and it has a vent to like vent, air it out, when you're heating it up so it doesn't totally steam out in there. But yeah, it just plugs right into the wall. It's really it's quite nice. Because then it also, like I said, you can heat it in the car as well.
And are they just called electric lunch boxes?
Yeah, how I found it was he was like, I don't want to take cold lunches anymore. And I was like, give me a day to figure this out. So I just started researching and checked out a few brands and found it on Amazon. And yeah, just heated lunchbox.
I absolutely love it. That's gonna be nice for me because I like things sometimes like steamed cabbage. I like cabbage, and then there's not a lot of calories in that. Now I know this isn't going to sound good, nice to you all, but I like to make cornbread with my cabbage. Okay, and so I'm going to have some cornbread, but I like it warmed up, and so I saw that there were compartments in that, and so that'll be nice to keep it that way. Oh, that's absolutely wonderful.
What's funny is that's the reason I have multiples is because I bought compartment ones because I thought that's what they would like, and he likes to mesh everything together and just eat it all together. And I was like, all right, so I bought another one where it's just one big compartment. So you can buy, there's multiple versions. And so, but it makes it nice because like I said, you can eat it in your car or you can plug it in at work and in 30 minutes it's warm.
Yes. Okay, Darlene House, I hear you. Darlene says cornbread and beans. Girl, get you some navy beans and some cornbread or some black-eyed peas. Yes, and those beans are going to be healthy. I don't know how to make healthy cornbread, but you can certainly have you a good meal. And it's colorful to get you a little salad or something on the side. Can we do that, Coach?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Like one of my dishes, I had cabbage in it. So
it was purple. It was purple cabbage. How did you cook that cabbage?
I cook it in a cast iron skillet with some olive oil and seasoning, just salt and pepper. And sometimes I'll put some cocoa aminos in it, some amino acids. But yeah, I quickly blanch it very quickly.
Oh, okay.
Not blanch it because that would be hot water, but I just quickly, it's a quick stir. So it's still a little crunchy.
Like a fried.
Yeah. But I have no problem. I add olive oil to just about everything I eat. And so it's not really quite fried. It's just cooked in oil, but I like it still crunchy. I don't want it super soft.
Well, there are recipes and they're called fried cabbage and fried this. I know that we don't like to use the word fried because then it sounds like it's not healthy, but that's certainly different than steaming something.
Yes. Yeah. Steaming, you're not adding any fat. And so, but like I said, we focus on proteins and fats because carbs get their way in and you need fat in your diet. Eating fat doesn't make you fat. And that's one of the biggest things I really try to impress upon people. You need it for your organs to function properly, for your muscles to function properly, and for your brain to operate properly. So don't be afraid of fats. It's just too much fats. And it's really the sweets and fats that can cause problems. Sugars and fats.
Sugar. Okay. So eating fat doesn't make you fat, but well. Now I don't know that I really want to know what's going to make me fat. She said the sugar is in the certain. If eating fat doesn't make me fat, I'm just going to be fat. I don't know. That's a whole other program for another time.
That's another rabbit hole.
Absolutely. Well, I want to say thank you so much for everything that you've shared with us today. Certainly it's given us something to think about. And I suppose we can go online in different places and find out. You had talked about the perfect protein, or you called it something else. Complete protein. Maybe we need to go online and find out what those things are. Some of us may need to do some research because we're going to have to retrain ourselves, reframe how we have looked at food and how we think about food. Certainly that's me. And I'm one of those, I love to eat food when it's good food and you can have conversations around it and do some things, but we do need many times to learn to eat to live. And as we age, as we get older, the food that we need and what it does for our bodies and to our bodies is going to be very, very important. So that's why AARP has this kind of program. And we appreciate you, Coach, for bringing this to us so that we can live a healthier, longer life. Thank you ever so much for being with us. Make sure you share this information with other friends. You can rewatch this if you want to on Facebook. And tell your friends about this so that they can come back and take a look. Look at some of the videos we have, look at some of the recipes, and join us next time here on Back to Basics. Thanks so much. Have a great week.